All right, here we go. Another one selected by you guys. Mr. Sandman by Chet Atkins. Written by Pat Ballard and recorded first by Vaughn Monroe and his orchestra, and many others followed that same year, including probably the most well-known versions by the Chordettes and the Four Aces that featured complex vocal harmonies. Chet Atkins then turned it into a guitar instrumental, which released in 1955 and became Chet Atkins' first single to chart on the Billboard's country charts. The song can be broken down into 3 sections, or verses, in different keys. Each section has an 8-bar intro, then each verse is played twice. But the last 8 bars on the second time around has a different ending or turnaround going into the next key. The first section is in the key of A, and then a quick 8-bar part in the key of D, going right into the key of G, and then finally into the key of C. So right here at the very beginning, there's kind of a big stretch. So it might be a little tough at first, but there's a couple of things you can do to make it a little easier. One of the things you can do is that you don't have to play this 4th fret, the G sharp, exactly with the pad of your index finger. You can kind of play it with the side of your finger like this. The other thing you can do is, of course, position your fingers on the frets of the guitar and just kind of hold it there to stretch your hand. And when you come back to it, it'll be a little easier each time. The other thing you can do is to shift your guitar to your left leg and play it this way. This is more of a classical style of playing the guitar, and it allows you to reach further up the neck with ease and gives you a little bit more leverage for getting those harder to reach stretches like this one. The other thing you can do is just not play it and play something like this. Now, I used to play it like this live, and I've just recently gone back and added in the proper chord. And the only difference really is that you're not playing the B note and the bass, so you're just omitting the 5th over an E9. All right, so the intro. Then it does it again. And a pickup. Then over the G sharp 7. Walk up to the C sharp, augmented 7th. Then the F sharp, augmented 7th. Then a walk up to the B13. Then the E13. Then walk up with your thumb there to the A add 9. And you want to play that A open because you're going to be bouncing your thumb between the open A and the low open E. Then the F9, then E9 shape, E13. And now the second part of the first verse repeats. So we're over this A major 7th again. And again, you want to remember to palm mute most of this tune. That kind of gives it that bounce, especially if you're playing with delay, which I definitely recommend if you're going for the Chet Atkins type sound. So the verse is the same up until the turnaround, right when we get to the F sharp going into the B. The first bar on the F sharp augmented 7th is the same. Then the rhythm changes. Instead of a walk up, we have this pattern. Then to the B minor. Slide up, 7th fret. D minor 6. Now, the reason why you want to use your thumb here instead of just playing it like a bar chord is because you need that open A string. Down to the B9. E13, together, and then a little Travis-style picking thing over the A. And then, on to the next key. Now it has that same intro now in the key of D, and it does that same kind of stretch, and you can do it the easier way like I showed you earlier, if that helps. Now here at the end of the 8-bar riff in D, it changes just a little bit. And now we go into the key of G, and this section plays differently. It's more of a chord melody type of thing, and there's a lot more use of the Bigsby here. Then this F-sharp 7 inversion, and this B augmented. You're just lifting that ring finger up, and you're picking all these notes with your thumb pick, first finger, and second finger. And to an E augmented. Then the slide up on the A6. Down to an A9. Then this B minor to D7th. You're just kind of bouncing back and forth between the D, G, and B string and the G, B, and E string. Then slide up to this G6-9, but it looks like a partial D chord. E flat, same thing. Then this D6 to D9, slide down. Little Bigsby waver. And then we're on to the second part of the second verse. Now this part might be a little tricky because what you're doing is a roll between your first finger, thumb pick, and second finger. And it's basically just practice getting used to that. Getting control of the dynamics between picking with your finger and the thumb pick can take some getting used to, but I have one thing that might help a little bit. The downbeats, the 1 and the 3, always start on the index finger like this. Or cut time if you prefer. So then you're rolling over this minor shape. It looks like a B minor, but it's a G major 7. Then to that E minor shape again and shift down a string. Then to the F sharp 7th, and for the first bar, it's the top 3 strings. Then shift down to the D, G, and B string. Then we go to the B augmented for half a bar. And then you'll lift up your third finger on your fretting hand. So it sounds like this. And you do that for 2 bars, move on to the E augmented, shift down again to the D, G, and B string. And you're using your 4th finger on the fretting hand to hit that D note. And that's where the pattern stops. Then a little hammer-on pull-off slide. And the pattern switches up a little bit, but you're still using your index finger to start with. Then it's thumb pick, first finger, second finger. Unison bend. You can play that with a pick or pick it with your fingers. A little bit of a stretch here, the A9. That's a D13 flat 9. And you're sliding down to a G6-9. And now we move on to the final section in the key of C. Now, this part is mostly a transposed version of the first part, but we don't have the luxury of the same open strings. So when we're bouncing with the thumb pick, we're going between octaves most of the time instead of the 1 and the 5. And that intro stretch is a little bit different. It's actually even harder. Now, as you can see, that might take some getting used to, but just keep at it and eventually you'll get it. Now, that beginning part is the same as all the other parts, and you can still cheat a little bit on that stretch and just not play the whole thing. This. You can even add a B note in here to give it a little bit more bottom end. You're just playing octaves there. Walk up with your thumb. And it starts the same way as the first part. You'll notice you're using your thumb on the low C because we don't have the open strings anymore. And sometimes it can take some getting used to make sure that that first string is ringing out. Down to the B7th. Now this part he changes it up a bit. Instead of walking up to the augmented third, there's a descending line. Now to the augmented 6th, just like before. This is an A augmented 7th, and we do have some open strings here to play. The open A and the open E. Another descending line. And now we're on the 2, the D13. To a G13. Walk up with your thumb. Same type of pattern as before, except we don't have the open strings, like I said. Then to an A flat 7 or A9 or raised 5, however you want to think of it. G13. Then back to the beginning of the verse. And this is the last section in the key of C. So the verse starts again. Down to the B7. Descending line. Then just like the first section of the song, it changes up the rhythm on the augmented third, but here it changes it up for 2 bars instead of just 1. Now, to me, when I was learning this song, that was the hardest part. Now we're over a D minor, and you play a similar pattern that you did in the key of A. Keep going on the D minor 7th, up here on the 10th fret. And here on the F minor 6th, the minor 4, it changes again, doing another roll, starting with your 3rd finger, and then your 2nd finger, and then your 1st finger. Then we go up to the D9. Then the G13, and you're picking with your thumb pick the 5th string and the 4th string. Then you'll pick the 3rd string and the 1st string with your 1st finger and your 3rd finger. Then a little flourish. Then this final section of the song, played in free time, are these 7 flat 5 chords. Then you'll do the same thing, pick the 5th string and 4th string with a thumb pick. Then use your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fingers to pick the top 3 strings. And then just go down chromatically. And when you get to the C sharp, then you switch to a C6. Same picking pattern. With a little Bigsby dive and waver at the end. Another piece of advice I can give you if you find yourself struggling is to take the tablature, and I provided a link to it in the description box below. Take it measure by measure, or even half a measure at a time, and just keep adding 1 note, and it'll get easier as you go. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share the video around, leave a comment in the comment section below. That kind of stuff really helps the channel and the algorithm. And you can click that notification bell to let you know when new videos drop. And you can help support the band and the channel on Patreon. I put all the links and information down in the description box below. Thank you guys again, and we'll see you next time.